Okay. Hi, my name is Zack Edwards, and I am the creator of Historical Conquest. Now, when I was in high school, I hated, and yes, I can actually use that hard word, hated history because it was book learning, it was tests, everything that was boring and everything that felt controlling was the way that they wanted to teach us. So when I left high school, I went to college and I had this English teacher that had this brilliant idea of giving us an assignment as a one-page essay to create a product that had to be done in a dorm setting. So it had to be easy, you had to have the materials for it, that would change the world. But we were only given one page to write this. So I decided to write on a baseball card or a football card on historical figures. But everyone that I asked about it, they really disliked the idea. No one would buy it and such. So I decided it had to be something different. Now, every kid in the United States, actually, I think they said about 98% of all kids love games. So why not use games and a subject that kids don't usually like unless they really get a good teacher and add them together. So we took the ideas of, you ever heard of Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, those kind of card games? Well, we took the look of those, but the gameplay of the game of Risk, the board game Risk, where you're trying to take over the world, it has this big world map. Well, Historical Conquest is basically that. It's a game where you can actually take over the world, but by using people from history. And with using people from history, you're actually learning all about them. So in here, you'll actually be able to get to know everyone from like Peter Salem, who was one of the soldiers, African American. He was a slave before the war, but he actually won the Battle of Bunker Hill. But he wasn't given credit until later on when they read the journals of George Washington and a few other leaders. He was actually credited by them and awarded, and then the history was like disappeared. I'll show you another one. We got Confucius. He's a Chinese philosopher. Confucius is sometimes confusing. We have Mount Vesuvius. Now, Mount Vesuvius is a mountain that erupted outside of Pompeii, if you haven't heard of him. Heard of it. We have Nikola Tesla. Now, this is a big one when it comes to our company. Ever since we started, this was I think the second image that was sent to us by this certain illustrator. When we received this image, we knew we had him as our mascot. We loved his Tesla and his story. Innovations. Because of his science, things like X-ray, radios, all those different things were actually able to be, we'll say, sped up in their development. Because before him, without him, it might not have actually happened. Let's go with one more. Actually, I'm going to go with two more. I'm going to go with a lady by the name of Queen Boadicea. It depends on who you talk to, but I'll tell you a little bit more about her. And Cheswell. Wentworth Cheswell. You ever heard of him? You all heard of Paul Revere, right? Well, Wentworth Cheswell was basically the Black Paul Revere. Now, some people don't like me saying that because, Paul Revere is one thing. Cheswell was so much more than Paul Revere. As you know, Paul Revere went on to do some things, but he wasn't very famous except for the ride of Paul Revere. That was thanks to a poem written by Longfellow. Cheswell, on the other hand, after the war, so let me go back. During the American Revolution, Cheswell was one of the nighttime riders. But instead of going west, like Paul Revere and a few other people, Cheswell went north. He went to tell the VIPs, like John Adams and others like that the British were going to take Lexington and Concord. So he rides up north, tells them, and if you remember the story, the first day of the American Revolution, all the soldiers are coming out to Lexington and Concord. Well, when they get to Concord, they all of a sudden are bombarded by a lot of the colonists. And so they start retreating and coming back. Well, they meet up with a group as they're coming back. And you know who got that group? Wentworth Cheswell. Now, that was during the war. Did you know that Wentworth Cheswell was the first African-American elected official in the United States? And that was right after the American Revolution, way before Abraham Lincoln, way before segregation. And he was chosen by people for 5 different offices. Actually, I think there's 6 different offices. I'll have to look that one up. But that's why we love him. And actually, this is great. This image is actually just a reproduction of what we think he might have looked like. Now, as you can see from the cover, I don't know if you can see it very well, but which says well, here is wearing a coat like Paul Revere would have worn, but his face, there's no portraits of him. As you know, back then you have to have your face painted. You have to be very wealthy to get your face painted, or be a very high person in like the government or such. Well, there are no pictures of him. So we created this image, and now people steal it for their own use. People like C-SPAN has used our image. Actually, I think they used it multiple times. We have actually given it out to be used by wall builders. Another one by Capital Connection over in DC. So this is a very famous person that no one ever talks about, or at least he should be famous. Okay, I'll tell you one more. Queen Boadicea. You ever heard of her? She took on the Roman Empire and gave them the biggest beating they've ever had. Now the Romans came in, and Queen Boadicea actually lost her husband. He was the chief of the Celtic? No, it was, Celtic tribe. A Celtic tribe. Now, the man could actually own property, could own land. But when the chief died, she took over leadership of the tribe. And the Romans didn't believe that she should own land, that any woman should own land. So they came in and they tortured people in the tribe. They threatened her daughters. And Mama Bear really came out, I guess, because she came after them. And truthfully, in the records, it actually says that the fight that she gave, I think it was 25,000 Romans she competed against. Sadly, in the end, she died, and she was actually quite brutal. So, when you study her, be careful of some of the things that people talk about, because there's some tactics that she used that, depending on the age of kid, you don't want them to know. But anyways, so I created a game because I wanted to give youth a better way of learning history. Now, mom will yell upstairs and say, "Hey, are you studying?" And they'll say, "Yeah." And she'll say, "What subject?" "History." And come to find out, they're actually playing the game. And actually, you can find that was actually a brand new story that was just posted by somebody on our Facebook page, which is group. Actually, I think it was our Facebook group. But yeah, you can actually see that story. We had no clue. She just posted it on her own, the mom. So that was great. Now, in these decks, I'm going to open a deck. Brand new deck. Okay, Peter Salem. Now, this deck was actually damaged. Huh. I thought it was damaged. Anyways, I'm still going to open this one up. Now, in this deck, I'm going to show you some things about these cards. Okay, so you open up a starter deck. You have to peel off all this covering. Open it up. First thing you come to, this is the rule sheet. Now, with the rule sheet, unfold this, and these are the basic rules of the game. Now, it looks like it's a lot of information, but it's really simple to go through. And it actually gives you turn by turn how the game is played. Now, this is basically the rules over here. This is the layout of the cards, and this is an introduction. So it's not too much. But on the back, it actually shows you where all the types of cards are being placed. So you have a map to know exactly how to play Historical Conquest. Now, I personally don't like reading rules. These can go away, for me at least. I know a lot of people like reading rules. I would rather go see someone play it, so you can go on YouTube and actually watch us play the game. We've actually done our own rules, and then fans of the game have actually explained it in their own ways. So you have youth explaining it to other youth that want to play. Now, the next thing you come to are the cards. Now, there's 50 cards in the deck. each player needs one of these packs. These are starter decks. And there's actually a free starter deck. You can get a link to that so you can check it out. But just to note, you need to have 2 in order to play. One for you and one for your youth, one for your child. So just remember that when you're buying one, you don't want to just get the free one. You want to buy one of them so that you can actually play it in your household. Now you come into the cards, and this is what's so great about these cards. Now this is the secret of why this has become so successful. Here you have an image that's based off of real life. It's illustrated. It's not a black and white picture. A lot of those pictures, kids see them and they shut off. They don't want to see those type of things. So you have the image, you have the person's name, when they were alive, what type of like career or topic they were. And these are actually, there's only a certain amount of topics. There's like explorers, leaders, events, documents, warriors, armies, things like that. And so you're able to know exactly what topic. So this is a character. He's an explorer. He explored, of course, space. So he's an explorer in space. Let's see if we can see this a little bit better. So up here, explorer, space. Then right below it, you can actually read about his life. Now, this is the great thing. We're not here to tell you everything about this person or the Bill of Rights or James Armistead, Alexander the Great. We're here to give you just enough information that you want to go out and find more. So this has actually spurred kids' interest to go out and find more about the person. Ones that I've always heard about is like the atom bomb, Rasputin, the Knights Templar behind me. This is the British SAS officer. And I think this wasn't the Fokker. This is one of the planes from the World War One. And our deck, let me see, I got it right here. Nope, it's our yellow. These, now, I'm going to go in this in just a second. These are the starter decks. These are expansion decks. You see the difference? These ones have 52 cards in them. This one has 20 cards in it. Now, the reason why it has 20 cards is this one, as you can see from the cards that have come out of it, are from all different eras. They're not just based on one different time. Like samurais, which also has the Renaissance and English language. So as you know, there's no similarities in these except for the fact that they're history. So these are all different parts of history. Now, if you buy 2 of these decks, you get the exact same cards. If you buy the Peter Salem deck and also the Tesla deck, completely different cards. They all have their own unique set of cards. But these ones are all on one era. So this is just on World War One. We also have the Crusades. We have the Romans. American Revolution. Second, World War II. This is the Storming of Normandy. This is the bestseller. The Wild West. The Civil War. Whoops. The Renaissance. And also the Industrial Revolution. These are our expansions. We also have an expansion game that is just the American Revolution, where you play over the 13 colonies with, I've got one of a few of the maps right here, playing over the East Coast. So you know exactly where the colonies are, and you get to defend it with either the British or the colonists. And even in this game, the British can win. So colonists, you better use strategy wisely. Now, let's go back to this deck. Now, another thing that's part of the cards is if you look right here, right underneath the summary, there's some bolder words right here. These are its abilities. The abilities are how you play them in the game. So this one says, if he discovers an Asian land, increase your morale by 100. Let's see, Bill of Rights, increase your morale by 200. Constant, increase your civilization's defense by 300. Let's give you another one. Okay, Alexander the Great. Conqueror. This one says, your land's strength increases by 500 during his first 2 turns. How great is that? Okay. So you can have, again, a starter deck, which everyone that wants to play can play with these. Now, we actually call this the ultimate family game because as you're playing, instead of just talking about the rules, you're actually talking about the Bill of Rights, where you can actually start up a conversation with your children about the Bill of Rights or Queen Aotep. Actually, my business partner always likes to mention that one day they pulled Hitler. Yeah, we have Hitler in the game. We have a few people that were like Mao Zedong, brutal dictators, but they're history. So with that, when you're playing with your kids, you can actually pull them out and say, what do you know about Hitler? And they can tell you what they know about him. Or the Renaissance. And you actually start up a conversation. You could read the summaries together. I have other families that say, okay, today we're going to learn about, and then the kids get to pick one of the cards, Florence Nightingale. So that day, they read about Florence Nightingale. A lot of times, though, the parents will go through the decks, and they'll take out all the ones from the American Revolution and say, okay, which ones from the American Revolution would you like to study today? Or again, World War II, the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution. And so they're constantly learning history while just having fun. And they're learning about all the people that they're playing with. And one really great thing is that right now we are creating a website. It's the most interactive and informative website on history that's ever been created. Now that's a big thing to say because we have things like the History Channel, Discovery. We have all these different ones that give out all this history. But did you know that a lot of the stuff from History Channel is actually false information? Yeah, that's right. We are historians. The reason why I can say that our historians are accurate as much as possible is the fact that they actually go back to the sources. So talking about the Crusades, in the Crusades text, there is no mention of a holy war. It was a pilgrimage. Much like the Muslims go up to Mecca, they were going on a pilgrimage. Now, a lot of the Muslims were actually very much against them, so they went with knights, and that was to keep them safe. Now, they actually did have to attack some places. This is not a justifying what they did, especially when people are getting hungry or bored or just having a really hard time going through. But did you know, and now one more thing before I tell you what you might not know, our historian actually goes back to the sources and he puts it in the text of the website. So you can actually, he'll read it, he'll translate it for you, but he'll give you the actual Latin in there as well. So that's really cool. But in addition, what you might not have known, because not many people ever say it, and I'm sure it's not in any textbooks, or it's in textbooks, but very small amounts, is that the Crusaders and the Europeans actually teamed up with Muslim groups on their way down. I wouldn't say tribes. I'm not exactly. He's the best about it, and we actually have a video on it, but I can't remember exactly the name of the groups that they were with. I mean, he can rattle them off right away. He talks fast, but he's a great historian because he can do that. And he writes fun. He's actually in his mid-20s, but he has a large background on history, and also he's just he graduated a little bit ago in writing. So that's like a double whammy. Okay, now I showed you these. These are expansion decks. Again, if you buy 2 of these, the American Revolution, you can get 2 sets of the exact same cards. This is the one and only right now. I mean, we have plenty of this one deck or one pack. This is a booster pack. This is randomized decks. This is randomized cards, much like these are, except this is from 100 different cards, and there are rare cards and things like that, because in the starter decks, there's no rare cards. They're the exact same in every Salem deck or every Tesla deck. These ones don't have rare cards because they're exact same in the American Revolution and in the Crusades. But these ones a lot of people wanted because they wanted to hunt for the rare cards. I actually didn't want them in the deck because I wanted to make sure that the people didn't have to waste their money and spend all this money. I used to play the game of Magic, and I spent a lot of money, hundreds of dollars. And then when I was done, I sold it for $40 because I negotiated with my mom that I wanted to drive. So she let me drive, she let me drive, and I got rid of my cards. So this is a little bit about historical conquest. I'm going to leave it open for a question and answer session, except I'm not going to put this in the video just out of respect for all those people, because I haven't gotten waivers to say that they can show their faces and such. But there's one last thing. Oh, and sorry, there's also these are our play mats. So you can actually play on these mats. All the mats are for different parts of history, but you can play on any mat. The important thing is the keeping score up here, because you're not just trying to go for world domination, you're also fighting for world peace. So these points are called morale points. It's how happy your people are. Down here, you place all your lands and your characters, and these are where you basically try to take over the world. But again, we have a YouTube channel with all the how to play, and if you like the rules, it comes in every starter deck. So if you buy 6 decks, you get 6 of these. So this is actually for Inspire Charter School in California, but anyone can learn from the things that I'm talking about today. For anyone that's with Inspire, contact your teacher and have them write up an order form for whatever you'd like. I'm going to be posting in the next week how to get your deck for free, your one deck, and then you can build up from there. Or you can buy a complete bundle. Now, when I say free, you do have to pay for shipping. Let me put that out there. Or you can buy a bundle and you save like 15%, so it's almost like you're getting a deck and a half for free. If you buy the bundle after getting the one deck, you'll basically have 2 of the same deck. So, hope that you got that. Anyways, now my name is Zack Edwards. I don't just do history. We started off with history. Huge success. We have, almost 30,000 games sold. So that's a lot. But we also have the newest game that came in last year, Totally Medieval. This is our math game. That's right. You can do math. It's almost like a game of chess, but where you're doing more of an adventure. It's like it's a mix between a video game and the game of chess. So this is really fun. We also have the game of it's Shakespeare's Conspiracy. Now this is a game, you can compare it somewhat to Clue, but where you're learning about Shakespeare and his plays while just having a fun time. And then we got one more that's coming out. Now the Shakespeare one is not out yet. We're still in development, but we also have another one coming out for finances. And this is one that maybe I shouldn't really mention the names, but it's like the teachings of Dave Ramsey mixed with Robert Kiyosaki and put all together into a really fun game. And at least in our testing, it's been really fun. Can't wait to see what you think. So if you have any questions, our email is general@historicalconquest.com, or might be easier, historicalconquest@gmail.com. Either one, we'll get your question. We'll be able to answer them. If you would like more information about any of the other games, we can provide you with that. We have newsletters for free. Please visit our site. Our site is www.historicalconquest@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and hope to see you soon. Hope to answer any of your questions and see you in another webinar. Thanks again. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.